from him! You don't approach my...
The fluorescent lights of the grocery store hummed over rows of canned soup and discount bread. Most people were counting change or checking phones. Nobody was counting the seconds it took for a little girl to decide whether to trust a stranger or the seconds it took for that stranger to realize something was very, very wrong. His name was Kane. 46, broad as a doorframe, tattooed knuckles, gray beard, braided at the chin, president patch on his back. Iron Cross MC, 15 years riding, 10 years sober, a life rebuilt from busted choices and second chances. He was in the cereal aisle, staring at off-brand cornflakes, when small fingers closed around the fringe of his vest. He turned. Brown eyes, maybe 6 years old, stared up at him like he was made of answers. Her dress was burgundy and wrinkled, one shoe untied, hair pulled into pigtails that had started the day neater. "Mister," she whispered, voice thin as smoke. Before Kane could crouch to her level, a woman's voice split the air sharp, loud, performance perfect. "Emma! Get away from that man!" Heads turned. The girl Emma didn't move. Her mother stood 3 aisles down, arms crossed, face red, eyes locked on Kane with a fury that felt rehearsed. She yelled again. "I said get away from him!" But Emma squeezed tighter. Kane's chest tightened. He knew that look, the one people gave him. In parking lots, at gas stations, near playgrounds. Leather equals danger. Ink equals threat. The math was fast and wrong. And he'd spent years proving it didn't matter what he wore on his back if his actions spoke clearer. Still, this was different. The mother's voice was loud, but her hands were shaking. Her eyes weren't angry. They were asking. Emma reached into her dress pocket, pulled out a folded square of notebook paper, pressed it into Kane's palm, then darted back toward her mother without a word. The whole exchange took 4 seconds. People whispered. An older man muttered something about, "Those bikers." Kane unfolded the note. It was written in clumsy marker, letters thick and smudged. "He hurts us. Help. Not Mommy's boyfriend. Emma's daddy. Please don't go." The air left Kane's lungs. He turned. Mother and daughter were already moving toward the exit, the woman gripping Emma's wrist, glancing back once, just once, with desperation carved into every line of her face. Kane didn't hesitate. He dropped the cereal, pulled his phone, texted 3 words to the club group chat. Code red. Grocery. Then he followed. The parking lot was dusk gray, streetlights just beginning to flicker on. Kane watched from beside his bike as the woman loaded Emma into a dented sedan. She moved fast, nervous, checking mirrors. Kane stayed back close enough to see, far enough not to spook. His phone buzzed. Responses rolled in. On it. 2 minutes out. Wrench. What's the play? Bishop. Same as always. Protect. Witness. Call if needed. Kane. The sedan pulled onto the main road. Kane followed on his bike. Engine low, keeping 2 car lengths back. He passed strip malls and used car lots, through a neighborhood that had given up on streetlights years ago. The sedan turned into a cul-de-sac, parked outside a house with peeling siding and a sagging porch. The woman got out. Emma clung to her hand. Behind them, a man stepped onto the porch. Tall, wiry, face twisted into the kind of anger that lives in a throat. He yelled something Kane couldn't hear from the street, but the way the woman flinched told him enough. Kane parked a house down, killed the engine. He texted the address. Within 90 seconds, 2 more bikes rolled in wrench, all scarred forearms and quiet fury. And Bishop, older, gray-haired, calm as surgery. They formed a loose wall on the street, visible but not advancing. The man on the porch noticed. His shouting paused. His eyes narrowed. Calculating. Confused by leather and silence. Kane stepped forward. Not fast, not loud. he said, voice even, the kind that carried without rising. Just checking in. Saw some folks who looked like they might need something. The man's face flushed. Get off my property. We're on the street, Wrench said, arms folded. Public. Who the hell are you? Kane didn't answer. Instead, he looked at the woman, at Emma pressed against her mother's leg. You okay? He asked. Not to the man, but to them. The woman's mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. The man moved down the steps, fists clenched. Don't you dare. Bishop's hand went up, slow, deliberate. Stop right there, friend. It wasn't a threat. It was a wall. The kind you don't test. The man froze. His eyes darted between the three bikers. The bikes. The phones already out in neighbors' hands, filming through curtains. His bravado cracked. You don't know what you're walking into, he spat. Then educate us, Kane said. His voice didn't change, but his posture did, grounded, immovable. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like a scared kid handed me a note. And I'm the kind of person who reads notes. Silence swallowed the cul-de-sac. The woman finally found her voice, trembling but clear. He's her father. He said if I ever called the cops, he'd take her. He said no one would believe me. Her voice broke. I screamed at the store so people would think I was protecting her from you. But I wasn't. I was protecting her from him. Emma looked up at her mother, then at Kane, eyes wide with something between terror and hope. The man took a step back, swearing under his breath. This is insane. You're insane. All of you. Wrench pulled out his phone. Got the police on speed dial. The man's jaw worked. He turned, slammed the door. Kane exhaled. He knelt to Emma's level, close but not crowding. You did good, he said. Real good. Emma's lip quivered. Are you angels? Bishop snorted softly. Kane smiled. The kind that doesn't come easy but means everything. Close enough. For today. Sirens wailed in the distance. The woman clutched Emma, tears streaming, whispering thank yous that didn't need answers. When the police arrived, statements were given. Doors were knocked. Evidence was gathered. The man tried bluster, then anger, then quiet as officers led him away in cuffs. Neighbors who'd hidden for months suddenly had cameras, testimonies, dates, and times. Emma stood between her mother and Kane, holding both their hands, a bridge between fear and safety. As the squad cars pulled away, the woman turned to Kane. I don't know how to thank you. Kane shook his head. You already did. You trusted a stranger when no one else would. He paused. That took guts. She smiled, small but real. Emma saw something in you. Kids know. Kane looked down at Emma, who grinned up at him, gap-toothed and brave. Guess they do, he said. Bishop clapped him on the shoulder. Coffee? Yeah, Kane said. But first, Emma tugged his vest. Will you come to my tea party? Kane blinked. Wrench laughed. Bishop tried not to. When? Kane asked, serious as stone. Next Saturday. He nodded. I'll be there. Emma's mother wrote her number on the back of a receipt, hands still shaking, but steadier now. Thank you, she whispered again. And this time, it sounded like belief. The bikes rolled out, engines low. The night, settling back into its rhythm. Kane didn't look back, but he felt the weight lift the note in his pocket. The girl's trust. The choice to stop when the world kept moving. Sometimes angels wear leather. Sometimes they answer prayers written in marker. And sometimes, the scariest-looking people are the ones who show up when everyone else looks away. Saturday came wrapped in October sunlight and the smell of fresh-cut grass. Kane sat in his driveway, polishing chrome on his bike, when Wrench pulled up with a grin that meant trouble. You seriously going to a tea party? Wrench asked, helmet dangling from one hand. Kane didn't look up. Said I would. Man, I've seen you stare down cops, rival clubs, and a repo guy with a crowbar. But a 6-year-old with a plastic teapot? Wrench shook his head. That's different courage. Kane smiled. Scariest thing I've done all year. Bishop rolled in next, engine idling low. We riding escort? Not this time, Kane said. This one's solo. But when he arrived at the address, Emma's mother had given him a small duplex with a bright red door and flower boxes that looked recently planted. Wrench and Bishop were already parked across the street, leaning against their bikes with matching smirks. Just making sure the neighborhood's safe, Bishop said. Kane shook his head, walked up the path, and knocked. Emma answered, eyes wide, dress covered in glitter and mismatched socks. You came. Told you I would. She grabbed his hand and pulled him inside. The living room was small but warm furniture that had seen years but was clean. Walls painted yellow. Toys stacked neatly in a corner. Emma's mother stood in the kitchen doorway, apron on, flour dusting her hands. Thank you for coming, she said, voice steadier than the last time they'd spoken. She's been talking about this all week. Kane nodded. Glad to be here. Emma dragged him to a low table set with plastic cups, a chipped teapot, and stuffed animals arranged like guests. She pointed to a tiny chair. You sit there. Kane, 6'2" and 220 pounds, folded himself into a seat made for someone a quarter his size. His knees practically touched his chin. Emma poured invisible tea with the focus of a surgeon. Sugar? She asked. Serious. 2 lumps, Kane said. She mimed spooning sugar, stirred with a plastic spoon, then handed him a cup. He sipped the air with equal seriousness. Good? Emma asked. Best tea I've had all year. She beamed, then leaned in close, whispering. Mommy says you're a hero. What he would not. Kane set the cup down carefully. Your mom's the hero. She kept you safe when it was hard. Emma considered this, then nodded. She cried a lot. But she doesn't cry now. That's good. Do you have kids? Kane paused. It was a question he'd heard before, always with the same weight. No, he said quietly. But I look out for people when I can. Quote, Emma poured tea for her stuffed bear, then looked back at Kane. My teacher said bikers are bad, but you're not bad. Kane smiled, sad and true. People say a lot of things. What matters is what you see with your own eyes. I saw you help us, Emma said. Her mother appeared with real cookies on a plate, eyes damp but smiling. Emma, let Mr. Kane breathe for a second. It's just Kane, he said. And I'm good. The mother sat on the couch, hands folded in her lap. She said quietly. They're asking for witnesses. The detective said, your statement helped a lot. Kane nodded. I'll be there. You don't have to. I'll be there, he said again, firm but kind. She looked at him for a long moment, then smiled. Emma's teacher invited me to parent night. First time I'm going without being afraid he'll show up drunk and make a scene. Her voice caught. It's little things, but they feel big. They are big, Kane said. Emma interrupted with a plastic crown. You have to wear this. It's the rules. Kane let her place it on his head. Too small, crooked, ridiculous. Wrench and Bishop, watching through the window, were definitely taking photos. Later, after more tea and a tour of Emma's room, where she showed him drawings of bikes and a picture she'd made of him with wings, Kane stood to leave. Emma hugged his leg, fierce and quick. Will you come back? She asked. If you invite me. I invite you every Saturday. Kane laughed, a sound that felt foreign and good. Then I'll see what I can do. Outside, the sun was dipping low, painting the street gold. Wrench and Bishop were still there, and now a few neighbors had come out curious, cautious, but no longer hostile. An older man with a cane approached. You're the ones who helped Emma? Kane nodded. The man extended a hand. Thank you. We all heard things, saw things, but nobody did anything. Shame on us. Kane shook his hand. Doing something now counts. The man nodded. If you boys ever need anything, coffee, a meal, A place to park. You let me know. Bishop tipped his head. Appreciated. As they rode out, engines rumbling low, Kane felt the shift the way the street watched them leave, not with fear, but with something close to respect. Maybe even gratitude. Weeks passed. Kane attended the hearing, sat in the back, answered questions with the same calm that had made a man back down on a porch. Emma's father was sentenced to supervised visits, anger management, and a restraining order. Emma's mother got custody, resources, a fresh start. Emma sent Kane drawings every week. Some of bikes, some of tea parties, one of him wearing the tiny crown with "Hero" written in crayon above his head. He pinned them to the wall of the clubhouse, and nobody made fun. Not once. One Saturday, Kane brought Wrench and Bishop to the tea party. Emma made them all sit, poured imaginary tea, and declared them knights of the table. Wrench played along. Bishop wore the crown without complaint. Emma's mother took a photo, the kind that ends up framed on a mantle, and remembered when the world feels heavy. Months later, at a community fair, Emma ran a lemonade stand. Kane and the club stopped by, bought out her entire stock, and sat in lawn chairs like bodyguards while she counted her earnings with the focus of a tiny accountant. A reporter showed up, notebook ready, questions about bikers and redemption and unlikely heroes. Kane waved her off. We're just people who showed up. But Emma, ever honest, tugged the reporter's sleeve. They're angels, she said. Mommy told me. Angels wear leather sometimes. The story ran in the local paper the next week. Iron Cross MC didn't ask for recognition, didn't do interviews. But calls started coming, other families, other situations. Other notes slipped into hands by kids who had learned that sometimes the scariest-looking person is the safest one to trust. Kane kept every note. He answered every call. And every Saturday, as long as Emma invited him, he showed up for tea. Because that's what heroes do. They show up. They listen. They wear tiny crowns with lopsided smiles. And they remind the world that courage comes in all kinds of leather. The grocery store still hums with fluorescent lights. People still count change. But now, when a little girl looks up at a man covered in tattoos and sees safety instead of fear, the world shifts just a little bit more toward the kind of place worth living in. Emma's drawing still hangs in the clubhouse. A biker with wings, a girl holding his hand, and the words scrawled at the bottom in careful letters. Sometimes angels wear leather. Subscribe if bikers can be heroes too.